about 100 pages, a little over 100 pages. And at the end are some articles by him. So there's one there on Vaishnava Parad, which I started looking at, and I'm like, oh, it's in depth. So I'm going to read that to you. And I'll read a little bit of Bhakti Shri Siddhanta Goswami Maharaj.
2006 was when I understands that, so that's the training instructions.
By Bhakti Shri Goswami.
There was a centennial issue. Was this centennial 2006? There was a centennial special.
That's right. Okay. Well, I have the one by Shri Bhaktivinoda. There's also one on the same site of Bharati Maharaj's site by Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj. Kind of short, but also is qualified. Jayo he Vaishnava Thakura Dayara Sagara Udasi Karanakari Hari Bol. ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः मुखं करोति वाचालं भङ्गं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां भवनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो महावदनाय कृष्णप्रेमविदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्यनाम्ने गौराचैषेम हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगन्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरि प्रिये वृंदाय तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदे देवी सच्चिदानंद नमो नमः श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So first of all, offering my unlimited dandavat pranams, my shraddha pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipful beloved Gurudev Nityalila Pravishta and Vishnupad Paramahansa Astatara Sata Shri Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada, then to my Siksha Gurus, my same unlimited dandavat pranams to Nityalila Pravishta and Vishnupad Paramahansa Astatara Sata Shri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj and Nityalila Pravishta Vishnupad Paramahansa Statara Sata Shri Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. To all my Shri Shri Rupa Guru Varga and my Dandavat pranams to all the Vaishnavas and to all the Vaishnavis. Alright, so today is also the disappearance day of Srila Bhakti Sri Rup Siddhanti Goswami Maharaj, who was a very erudite, scholarly disciple of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he was a very straight speaker. He didn't mince his words. And also he produced some very important Vaishnava literatures for the Gaudiya Math and for the Gaudiya Sampradaya in Bengali language. Produced the whole Vedanta Sutra with the commentary of Baladev Vidyabhushan. With his commentary, which was not available before.
And we translated that. It's Bengali.
Okay, so it's fully done in Hindi. When did you do that? How long ago?
I think it was finished completed last year. It's big. It's like 4 very good volumes.
Yeah, I mean, we need that in English. We need that.
Yes.
You know? And so what does ours contain? Only those two? Only the actual Vedanta Sutra and then the commentary of Baladev Vidyabhushan or any other?
I think Baladev Vidyabhushan has 3 commentaries or something like that.
Oh.
And then there's one Bengali commentary, like one commentary of Chaitanya Charitamrita, but second, I think Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Goswami's own commentary.
Oh, yeah.
It's like Chaitanya Charitamrita versus.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
And then he produced like all the main, the main Upanishads? Like the 12 Upanishads?
No, only a few of them. It says here that he said he published a few Upanishads like Isha, Kata, Mandukya, and Gopal Tapani Upanishads. And in those he had his Tattva Kana commentaries, as well as the 3 books, Ujjvala Nila Manikiran, Bhakti Rasavita Siddha Bindu, and Bhagavatamrita Kana. Prita Bhagavatamrita Kana. And he produced Srimad Bhagavad Gita with the Rasi commentary of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and the Gita Bhushana commentary of Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan, which we don't actually have, but Islam has done one version of that. And also his own Anubhushan, called an Anubhushan commentary. And then he also rendered tremendous service to the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya by publishing Vedanta Sutra in Bengali with Baladev and Bhushan Prabhu's Govinda Bhashya commentary and a brief commentary thereon, along with an assisting explanation of his own called Siddhanta Kana, which he fortified with references from Srimad Bhagavatam and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Srila Siddhanti Goswami Maharaj endeavored tirelessly to publish this particular book, and his godbrother Sri Srimad Bhakti Bhudev Shroti Goswami Maharaj offered extensive assistance in proofreading. And whenever a new book was released, Srila Siddhanti Goswami Maharaj would hold a festival. And then he would say, just as Srimad Bhagavatam is verily the divine form of Bhagavan, so the literatures that have been written in the light of Srimad Bhagavatam and further endorse the doctrines presented therein are non-different from Srimad Bhagavatam. And they are therefore just as worshipful as Bhagavan himself. It is only fitting to commemorate the divine appearance of such literatures in the world by organizing a festival. Yeah. He was also involved in this, spreading the pastimes of Bhagavan's teachings through diorama exhibitions. Which, by the way, yesterday that diorama exhibition there really needs some upgrading. Oh my God! I didn't think to tell that devotee, but he should do, because it's like that's Jagannath. It's the story of Jagannath, but they've not kept it up at all. Looks like it's behind windows, so I don't know how they get into there. Maybe they just put them there and then seal things shut, so it's not so easy. And Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur engaged his disciples in performing kirtan of Vishuddha Chaitanya Vani, the immaculate message of Sri Chaitanya, by publishing and distributing countless spiritual books, newsletters, and magazines, as well as by sending Niskinchan preachers to various locations. Although most people could grasp the concepts of these publications and Vaishnava preachers presented, but there were still many who could not. So concerned for the welfare of such persons, Srila Prabhupada, whose heart was always full of compassion, he granted them the wonderful opportunity to understand the pristine message of Sri Chaitanya Dev by organizing Sat Siksha Pradarshini's exhibitions that involve beautiful dioramas and displays along with appointed representatives to explain the various spiritual teachings that they depicted. So at each exhibition they had persons standing, because in his book, My Beloved Masters, the section that is dedicated to Srila Bhakti Hridaya Ban Maharaj talks about how Bhakti Hridaya Ban Maharaj was specifically told by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati that I think we have some seva to do to Srimati Radhika at Kurukshetra, but he didn't say anything more. So when they did finally organize that at Kurukshetra, he specifically told him which pastimes at Kurukshetra to depict. So
that's like a really key way they teach stuff now.
and it was revolutionary. Yeah. I mean, they didn't do it everywhere, but at large locations and for important festivals, they organized that. But look, that's the culture of Bengal. They make these dioramas, they make these figures. So, Srila Prabhupada actually sent his disciples to learn that. One of them was Maharadj, the artist, and a few other artists. And they stayed like a year, studying how they were making that, because that's how they got together what they call the Fate exhibitions in the West. Based upon that, But I think, from what I've seen, these figures that we have here, Gurudev Swami, are the most beautiful I've ever seen. You know, they're incredible, incredible. And the likenesses also, so wonderful. On all three levels, you know, all the pastimes, everything. So that, it would be nice if it was put into some nice, beautiful, more Vedic-looking style facade.
Было бы хорошо, если бы в Самадхи Шиладарами Госвами Махараджа поставили как бы очень красивый ведического стиля, как бы ведического стиля, как бы фасад такой.
So these exhibitions were organized and led by some stalwart Vaishnavas as Shrimad Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, Shrimad Bhakti Vrindavan Goswami Maharaj, and Guru Maharaj. In addition to the exhibitions, silent magic lantern films produced by Sri Srimad Bhakti Prasoon Bodayan Goswami Maharaj were also present. Never heard of that? Films. Magic lantern films. Silent films. Wow.
К сожалению, не знаю, какую статью Шрила Гурудев читает.
So Srimad Bhakti Goswami Maharaj gave this conceptual legacy of Srila Prabhupada a permanent form of expression when he unveiled in his mutts many sculpted dioramas of instructive pastimes from Krishna Lila, Ram Lila, Gaura Lila. These dioramas were highly beneficial as they simultaneously communicated profound concepts to the general public and brought numerous pastimes of the Lord to the minds of well-informed devotees. So you know which mutts? Puri.
Oh, yes.
Puri. Navadvip, right over here. I don't know what other mutts that he had. And now here's his samadhi pastime. I'm just at the end of the article reading it myself, so I'm just reading the end of it here. No, before I read this, let me read that this is really beautiful how, you know, he's a straight speaker, right? So the messengers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Vani. So once Guru Maharaj, that is Bhakti Dayata Madhava Goswami Maharaj, but he was Hayagriva Brahmachari at the time, and also Sri Srimad Bhakti Sri Rup Siddhanti Goswami Maharaj, who was then Siddhaswarup Brahmachari, and also Sri Srimad Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, they were invited to preach at a 3-day spiritual function in Sylhet, East Bengal, which is now Bangladesh. So on the first day in his address, Sri Siddhaswarup Brahmachari, he made use of very straightforward but harsh and immoderate words while establishing the superiority of the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu over the popular Mayavad philosophies prevalent at that time. He referred to Vivekananda, whose name means one who takes bliss in having vivek, intelligence, as Vivekananda, or one who takes bliss in being ignorant. And he referred to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa as Ramhamsa, or a large but worthless swan. Now, upon hearing these epithets, many residents of Sylhet became irritated. That night, leaflets were published and distributed all over town denouncing the Gaudiya Math and demanding the cancellation of the function. The event faced such great opposition that the next day, Sri Hayagriva Brahmachari met with the convener, who was the district judge, who expressed his concerns about safety and advised us to cancel the remaining 2 days of the function, just to rule out the possibility of any undesirable incident. Then Sri Hayagriva Brahmachari assured the judge that the speaker who had used incendiary words the previous night would most definitely not be speaking again, and that only he and Srila Sridhar Goswami Maharaj would address the audience. Do you remember reading? Have you read this before? Do you remember reading how Srila Sridhar Maharaj addressed? Amazing. Yeah. You know, I think there's two different incidents of two different persons. Yeah. But it might be two different incidences of the same person also. Because I remember both of those. You know? Okay, so now the judge replied when he said that only two would be speaking. He said, "It is on your assurance alone that I will allow the function to continue. I will make all necessary arrangements for providing increased security, but please be mindful of the content of your Harikatha." So the next morning, the venue was filled with antagonistic objectors. Sri Hayagriva Brahmachari was the first to address the crowd, and he began by praising the hospitality of the Shilent people. And after he finished his speech and established his objective, then he conceded the podium to Srila Sridhar Goswami Maharaj. And during his presentation, Srila Maharaj said, "Now listen to this." And you can't imagine what the response was from the audience. Here's quite in-depth. He said, "Our Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivinoda Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, has taught us that in our preaching, we are delivering the message of Swami Bhagavan, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. Our only purpose in coming here is to deliver, through fearless yet fair speech, the Vani, the teachings that incessantly flow from Shrimad Bhagavatam, the natural commentary on Vedanta Sutra, as it has been presented by Srimad Mahaprabhu and our line of Guru Varga, such as Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, and others, who make up our Bhagavat Parampara. We are not here to preach with the apprehension and shyness of a lady hiding her face behind a veil. What to speak of the philosophical doctrines of personalities like Sri Shankaracharya, Jaimini, Patanjali, Kanad, and so on. The ideology manifested by Swayam Bhagavan Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu is unparalleled and vastly superior to the ideologies established by even the previous four Vaishnavacharyas, Sri Ramanuja, Sri Madhvacharya, Sri Nimbaditya, Sri Vishnu Swami. Through his teachings, he has highlighted the shortcomings of such doctrines, and he has conclusively defeated all erroneously fabricated philosophies of Mahaprabhu. He has, through his teachings, he has highlighted the shortcomings of such doctrines, and he has conclusively defeated all erroneously fabricated philosophies. So therefore, in our presentation of Srimad Mahaprabhu's ideology, how is it possible that the ideologies of persons like Vivekananda, Ramakrishna, Paramahansa, and Bhandarkar will not be contested? How is it possible that those philosophies will not be contested? So very logically, Srila Sridhar Maharaj put this together, like who can object? You know? Moreover, we are simply messengers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Our duty is merely to deliver his teachings. If anyone in this assembly has any objections, he may kindly address them to Srimad Mahaprabhu, to Srila Vedavyas, or Srila Rupa Goswami. Although we have unflinching faith in their vichardhara, their line of ideology, we will undoubtedly surrender to any person who can present an ideology superior to that presented by Srimad Mahaprabhu. But if such a person is not present in this world, what intelligent being would be unwilling to follow or feel uninspired by such a highly auspicious spiritual path as the one described by Srimad Mahaprabhu and his followers? Srimad Bhagavatam has clearly described Sri Krishna as Swayam Bhagavan. Ete Chamsa Kalapamsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. All these avatars are either plenary portions or portions of plenary portions of the Supreme Person, but Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. Furthermore, Krishna himself has stated in the Bhagavad Gita that he is the ultimate object of surrender in such verses as Sarvadharman Prityajamamekam Sharanam Braja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhya Mokshishyami Ma Shuchaha, and Manmana Bhavamad Bhakto Madhyajimam Namaskuru Mame Vaishyasi Satyam Te Pratijane Priyosime. And I'm not reading the translation. Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Ye Jana Paryupasate Tesham Nitya Viyuktanam Yogakshemam Baham Yaham. For those who are devoid of other desires, who are always absorbed in contemplation of me, and who always worship me, I personally carry their necessities, I preserve what they presently have. So therefore, what benefit is there in accepting the ideology of Ramakrishna Paramahansa, who advocates the worship of devatas? Such worship is averse to Srimad Bhagavatam, which has firmly established Yatataror Mula Nishechanena Triptyanti Tatskanda Bhujo Bhashaka Pranopaharach Chayatendriyanam Tataiva Sarvarhanam Achyutejya. Just as pouring water on the root of a tree nourishes its trunks, its branches, leaves, and sprigs, and as giving food to the stomach nourishes all the senses and bodily limbs, all the demigods are automatically worshipped when one worships Sri Achyuta Bhagavan. The philosophy of Vivekananda is Jive Prem Kore Je Jana Sevi Che Ishvara. What that means? I'll read it again. Jive Prem Kore Je Jana Sevi Che Ishvara. One who has love for living entities, the jivas, actually serves the Supreme Lord. However, we see that his followers kill and eat animals. And we must therefore conclude that in this slogan, the word jiva, as used by Vivekananda, refers only to human beings. But the true meaning of the word jiva refers to all living entities. You should all deeply consider these points. There is no need for us to say anything further. You are all free to make complaints against any imperfections in our methods of delivery, but you must know for certain that the philosophy we have presented remains immaculately pure at all times, without the slightest trace of contamination. So after Srila Sridhar Goswami Maharaj concluded his speech, the audience responded with thunderous applause. Indeed, they were truly pleased, and they requested the organizers to extend the function for an additional 15 days. So in this way, the preaching of Srimad Mahaprabhu's Vani in the city of Shilet was a great success. And as Shilet was a city renowned for its good quality lime, the residents, in their appreciation, arranged for a wagon load to be used in the service of whitewashing the walls of Sri Chaitanya Mat, the temples of Jogpit, and other buildings in Srimad Mahaprabhu Sridham Mayapur. You know what lime is? Lime is not the fruit, lime. It's a particular, what's it called? Not chemical.
Compound.
Yeah, it's a particular compound that is in the earth. At certain places, certain areas, it's in excess and it can be mined. And it's that line that they turned into kind of like whitewashing paint. They have that line in it. So in Chalet they had a great abundance of that there. Now, Srila Siddhanti Goswami Maharaj was accustomed to speaking in a forthright manner that some may have found unpalatable, but he never presented anything other than Shrota Vani, the teachings descending through the Bhagavad Parampara. And this was appreciated by the authoritative personality, Srila Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, the senior godbrother, who defended the content of his junior godbrother's speech that day in Chalet. Actually, from what I remember hearing, he was somewhat new at that time. But he was younger also by age. Now, Srila Siddhanti Goswami Maharaj was considerably bold and straightforward in his lectures. He would never hold back when refuting others' mistaken philosophies, nor would he attempt to avoid confrontation by speaking indirectly. Sounds like a lot of people aren't doing that nowadays.
Oh my God.
It's the opposite, the absolute opposite. Pandering. Yeah, I know. It's horrible. It's horrible. That's why sometimes there was a take on the acronym ISKCON. Toward the beginning when Gurudev was being opposed by them for the first few years of his preaching in the West. Actually all throughout his, but especially the first 3 years, they're writing so many articles against him, this, that. So, Gurudev sometimes made some comments about ISKCON. But one devotee, I won't mention his name, he came up with sometimes you have the certain letters and they can indicate one thing, but they can also indicate another, or you can have a certain modification of the meaning. So one devotee said, yeah, it's gone. It's gone. So this is the fact. When it comes down to Siddhanta and not defending the Siddhanta, and just like giving in to all New Age philosophies and all kinds of sentimentalist nonsense, and giving up the actual straightforward words of the Acharyas, and this is disgusting. This is absolutely disgusting. And such persons who are doing that are making very great guru aparat. Very great. Any comment on that?
No, nothing. I just, the other day in our reading, we talked about the same discussion where Prabhupada saying thank you, like really strong things against
Yeah. I mean, I just saw recently on Facebook someone posted the conversation that Prabhupada had with some devotees, one particular conversation where that was brought up, Ramakrishna. And Prabhupada directly pointed out why this is completely rejectable, so rejectable. And he's claiming to be Bhagavan. That's another thing about him. He's claiming to be Rama and he's claiming to be Krishna. So Prabhupada put it there. He said, okay, he claims to be Rama, then let him prove it. Let him prove it. And let him give a philosophy, let him put forward a philosophy as Krishna did in the Bhagavad Gita and defeat all the philosophies of the Vedic acharyas. Absurd, So, the thing is that he would never hold back when refuting others' mistaken philosophies, nor would he attempt to avoid confrontation by speaking indirectly. So because of his impartial nature, he spoke in the same manner publicly as he did privately. So once while preaching with Sri Srimad Bhaktivivek Bharati Goswami Maharaj, Srila Maharaj, then Siddhaswarup Brahmachari, he very forthrightly and unambiguously established the supremacy of pure bhakti over any and all pseudo-devotional religions included within the proverb, Jatamat Tatapat. There are as many paths to attain God as there are ways to see Him. That's the meaning of that. Any path you choose, they're all the same. That's where the example that Prabhupada would give So what? How much sense does that make? That's like saying if you buy a ticket to London, then you're going to go. You can go anywhere. Go to New York. Go here. Go there. It's absurd. So he was refuting this, and so he said that this popular slogan, which came from Ramakrishna, it amounts merely to Mishrita Bhakti or mixed devotion. Needless to say, a number of people were greatly perturbed by this assertion, and they began to oppose the Gaudiya Math. And when Sri Kunja Bihari Vidyabhushan Prabhu, who was the secretary of the Gaudiya Math, who later became Bhaktivedanta Tirtha Maharaj, he related this event to Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada said, while the scriptures affirm that Siddha Swarup Prabhu has spoken the truth, the harsh language he used should never come from our mouths. Be that as it may, his words have spread our message to such a large group of people that it would have cost 1 lakh of rupees otherwise, and at that time that was millions and millions of rupees. For this service I will award him a Shri Gaur Ashirvad certificate and grant him the special title Vidya Vagisha, which means the best orator of true knowledge. Write that down, Vidya Vagisha, and reserve it for him. So, like this. Also, we used to hear from Gurudev that after, during the disappearance pastime of Param Gurudev Bhakti Pragyana Keshav Goswami Maharaj, Shri Rup Siddhanti Goswami Maharaj was there, and he helped so much, and he helped to, to support. He helped to support, the leading Vaishnavas who now will have this weight on their shoulders in his absence. So he was very, very intimately connected with Gaudiya Vedanta Smriti. So he tells some pastimes of his own interaction with Sri Rupa Siddhanta Goswami Maharaj. And I just want to read at the end of this. So his samadhi pastime and the actions of our Guru Varga are not questioned. Yeah, so then that's the end. So we just read that. A few of Srila Prabhupada's sannyas disciples, namely Sri Siddhanta Goswami Maharaj, Sri Srimad Bhakti Vivek Bharati Goswami Maharaj, Sri Srimad Bhakti Sudrit Paramarti Goswami Maharaj, and Sri Srimad Bhakti Prapanna Dandi Goswami Maharaj, they were not interred with samadhi burials. Instead, for whatever reasons, they instructed their disciples to cremate their divine bodies. Sometime after Srila Siddhanta Goswami Maharaj's body was cremated, his disciples established his Pushpa Samadhi at his mat in Sri Jagannath. Now, after deeply deliberating on the subject, one will come to the conclusion that there is no difference between a Vaishnava's Mool Samadhi and his Pushpa Samadhi, because the body of a Vaishnava and the articles related to him are non-different, purely transcendental and equally worshipful. So on behalf of King Prataparudra, Sri Nityananda Prabhu repeatedly requested Srimad Mahaprabhu to award his darshan to the king, but the Lord firmly refused. However, Sri Nityananda Prabhu convinced him to at least bestow a set of his used clothes upon the king as an alternative. And upon receiving those garments, King Prataparudra treated them as non-different from Srimad Mahaprabhu, and accorded them the greatest honor and respect. So just as Srimad Mahaprabhu's clothes are non-different from himself, the divine bodies of his realized devotees and the items they use are similarly non-different from those devotees themselves. Such objects remain equally worshipful and worthy of respect even after they enter Nitya. And here's the last short section. The actions of our Guru Varga are not to be questioned. Once, after the disappearance of Srila Siddhanta Goswami Maharaj, I attended a festival at his establishment in Puri. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat and Asam. That's what it's called. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat and Asam. There, Sri Mukunda Pandit, a disciple of Sri Srimad Bhakti Vichar Jajavar Goswami Maharaj, was closely inspecting the deity of Sri Vrinda Devi that had been installed there. You know that deity? As you come in the front gate of his mat in Puri. Now, pointing to her nose ring and the other ornaments with which she was adorned, he asked one of Srila Siddhanta Goswami Maharaj's disciples, who had this deity of Vrinda Devi made? Then the devotee replied, it was our Gurudev. Sri Mukunda Pandit further inquired, has she been manifested in accordance with the specifications of scripture or simply by some sort of fanciful imagination? The disciple innocently responded, our Gurudev would have been able to better explain. I do not know. Although I generally never commented on anything unless requested, I considered that in this case, to remain silent would have put me at risk of committing an offense. For Sri Mukunda Pandit had voiced doubt about a deity installed by my Guru Varga, Srila Siddhanta Goswami Maharaj. Therefore, interrupting the conversation, I asked him, Prabhu Panditji, is it proper to harbor doubt even after learning that it was recognized, authentic Vaishnava who installed this deity? Could such an authoritative personality like Srila Siddhanta Goswami Maharaj ever do anything unauthorized? The truth is, Srila Maharaj has manifested this deity according to the descriptions found in Sri Vrinda Devi Astakam, composed by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Then he quoted the verse, Bimbadaro Ditvaramandahasya Nasagra Mukta Dyuti Diptitasye Vichitra Ratna Bharana Shriyadye Vrinde Numaste Charanavindam. O Vrinda, your countenance is especially radiant, illuminated by the gentle smile rising on your bimba red lips and the pearl on your nose. Your beauty is enhanced by various jeweled ornaments. O Vrinda, we offer pranam to your lotus feet. Then I concluded, Bharati Maharaj, it appears you have never read this Ashtakam attentively. Sri Mukunda Pandit fell silent, and I felt satisfied for having rendered some service to Srila Siddhanta Goswami Maharaj. Gaur Premanandi. Srila Bhakti Shri Rup Siddhanta Goswami Maharaj ki jai. So his disappearance day is today, but his appearance day is during Kartik, so they're quite close together. And I remember all the years that Gurudev was with us during Kartik, we would have those 3
Проводил
days of
Картики, у нас
festivals.
было 3 дня фестиваля.
What was it? First of all,
В первую очередь,
Srila Vamana Goswami
Шрила
Maharaj,
Вамана
Srila
Госвами Махарадж
Трикрама Goswami
и
Maharaj,
Шрила Трикрама Госвами
and
Махарадж.
Srila Prabhupada.
Затем
But
нашего
the
Шрила
third day would be
Прабхупада, но на
Advent,
третий
because we wouldn't go
день
on Parikramā on those
мы
days.
не ходили на
On the third
Парикраму в
day
те
we did go
дни,
on Parikramā,
но когда мы
but
ходили,
who's now Bhактиведанта Sridhar Maharaj,
тот, кого сейчас зовут Шрила Шридар Махараджа, Арсенанда Прабху в прошлом, он сделал все, чтобы все, он как бы фестиваль устроил для своего Гуру Махараджа и проводил Гуру Пуджу.
Well, that's very interesting because now
Это очень интересно, потому что сейчас мы
one of our great acharyas, as being the personality who has authenticated the consumption of many varieties of ice cream. This is definitely cause for rejoicing. Yes, okay, so a little bit more time. I'm just going to do a little bit, because obviously we can't do this. Here's half of the elephant, because this is from the rays of the harmonies. And here's the other half of the elephant. So, the title of this is Vaishnav Criticizing by Srila Sachidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So probably the word is Ninda. I think it's Ninda. Namo Bhaktivinoda Sachidananda Namane Gaura Shakti Srupaya. So the first thing that he says in this article is the result of blaspheming a Vaishnava. The result. Among all the different types of offenses that a jiva can possibly commit, no offense is more severe than blaspheming a Vaishnava. Do we have that straight or not? Do we have that straight, my dear Vaishnavas, who are, like Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj quoted, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. But yet, this has become so rampant in the Vaishnava institution, plural, institutions. And it's highly, highly destructive. We should understand to what extent. I mean, we should already understand that Mahaprabhu already told this in his teachings to Srila Guru Goswami on the Bhakti Lata beach. And how the devotee has to become a gardener. How he has to water it regularly. How he has to protect it. How he has to cut out the weeds and so forth. But the ultimate one at the very end of that teaching of Mahaprabhu is Hatimata, the mad elephant offense, which can fully destroy the creeper. So, among all the different types of offenses that a jiva can possibly commit, there's a lot of types. No offense is more severe than blaspheming a Vaishnava. It is therefore essential to contemplate the meaning of Vaishnava Ninda according to the scriptures. So it is written in the Skanda Purana. Here's the quote. Nindam kurvanti ye mudha Vaishnavanam mahatmanam patanti pitribi sardham maharorava samgyate hanti nindanti vaidveshi Vaishnavan nabinandati krudyate yati no harsham darshane patanani sat. Darshane patanani sat. Here's the translation. These are two slokas. We hear the second one a lot, but not the first one. So the foolish person, mudha, he's called a mudha here, the foolish person who criticizes an exalted Vaishnava, Vaishnavanam Mahatmanam, Mahatma. So that foolish person who criticizes an exalted Vaishnava falls down to the hell known as Maharorava, along with his forefathers. Whoever, here's the list of list of six. Whoever kills a Vaishnava, blasphemes him, feels malice toward him, does not properly greet him upon seeing him, becomes angry with him, or does not feel joy upon seeing him, certainly becomes degraded as a result of these 6 types of misconduct. So if that isn't enough, now we hear from Shrimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 74th chapter, verse 40. Nindam Bhagavata Shrinvams Tat Parasya Janasya Va Tato Na Paiti Yatsobi Yatyadha Sukritash Chuta. A person who does not promptly leave that place where blasphemy of Bhagavan or his dedicated devotee, the Vaishnava, is perpetrated, becomes bereft of all his previously accumulated spiritual merit sukriti, and he meets with degradation. Now, different categories of jivas and appropriate conduct with each other. So having thus forewarned about Vaishnava Ninda, it is absolutely imperative to first ascertain what specifically designates one a Vaishnava, and then determine which acts result in Vaishnava aparad. All jivas fit into one of four categories. Number one, ordinary jivas. Number two, religious jivas. Number three, brahmanas and those jivas who resemble Vaishnavas. That's called Vaishnava Prai jivas. And four, Vaishnava jivas. So ordinary jivas, religious jivas, brahmanas who resemble Vaishnavas, Vaishnava Prai, and Vaishnava jivas. With the wisdom that Sri Krishna resides in the heart of all jivas, one should honor every living being. A deeper respect should naturally be
Шрила
shown
Гурудев сейчас
to
читает
the religious jivas.
статью
And
Вайшнава
beyond
Нида,
this, it is
кто
imperative
критикует
to feel
Вайшнава,
even deeper
что
honor
будет,
for Brahmana jiva
если
and
кто-то
the
критикует
Vaishnava
Вайшнавов,
jiva. But above all, it is enjoined
учитывая
that
мудрость,
one
согласно
must
которой Шри
worship
Кришна
and serve the lotus
обитает в
feet
сердце всех
of a
живых
Vaishnava.
джив, следует почитать каждое живое
If one
существо.
fails to offer
К
respect,
религиозной дживе,
to the
естественно,
common
следует
jiva,
проявлять более глубокое
then
уважение.
special
И
respect to the
помимо
religious
этого
jiva
необходимо испытывать еще больше
and
почтения
befitting
к
honor to the
Брахмадживе
Brahman and the
и
Vaishnava
Вайшнава
jivas,
Прадживе.
then one incurs sin.
Но так,
However,
предписывается поклоняться лотосным стопам Вайшнава Дживы и служить им. Если человек не оказывает обычной дживе особого уважения религиозной дживе и не оказывает подобающего почтения браманским и вайшнавам, то он навлекает на себя грех папа. Однако неуважение или бесчестие вайшнава дживы на самом деле является апарадхой. I'm sorry. Потише говорить.
Sins affect the gross and the subtle material bodies, whereas an aparad specifically affects the
Не существует
jiva's
такого
quest to
вида
establish
греха,
itself in
который
its
нельзя было
constitutional
бы
position as
уничтожить
a pure
путем
spirit soul, causing it
совершения
to fall
обычного
from its path.
покаяния, но
So those who wish to
совершенный
perform
против
loving
Вайшнава
worship of the
не
Supreme
как-то
Lord,
легко искоренить.
Bhagavad must
А,
diligently protect themselves from committing aparad. So what's stated in this paragraph?
Так,
That if one fails to offer respect to the common jiva,
те, кто
or to offer
желает
special respect to
совершать
the
любовное
religious jiva,
поклонение Верховному
or
Господу,
to offer befitting honor to the
Бхагават
Brahman and the Vaishnava
Баджана
pride
должны
jivas, then one
старательно
incurs sin.
оберегать себя от совершения апарадхи.
However, to disrespect or dishonor a Vaishnava jiva is actually an aparad. And there is no form of sin that cannot be destroyed by performing ordinary penances, but an aparad committed against a Vaishnava not easily eradicated. Sins affect the gross and the subtle material body, whereas an aparad specifically affects the jiva's quest to establish himself in his constitutional position as a pure spirit soul, causing him to fall from his path. And therefore, those who wish to perform loving worship of the Supreme Lord Bhagavad Bhajan must diligently protect themselves from committing aparad. Now, there are three types of Vaishnavas according to Shrimad Bhagavatam, Kanishta, Madhyam, Uttam. In Shrimad Bhagavatam, three specific categories of Vaishnavas are described in the following three verses. The neophyte, or the Kanishta Vaishnava, Archayam eva haraye pujam lakshadaye rade latat bhakteshu chaneshu sabhakta prakrita smita. He who engages in worshipping the deity as Bhagavan Srihari with ordinary faith, received through some lineage of worldly teachers, but who does not engage in worshipping Srihari's devotee, is a Kanishta Vaishnava, or a neophyte Vaishnava. In other words, he is just beginning to enter into understanding the science of bhakti. The specific difference between worldly traditional faith and faith based on the revealed scriptures, Shastriya Shraddha, is that the former arises from mere conventional worldly education, whereas in the latter, namely Shastriya Shraddha, faith in the Vaishnavas arises from deep conviction in the words of the scriptures and is based on the evidence presented therein. It is only with the advent of Shastriya Shraddha that the jiva becomes a Madhyam Vaishnava or an intermediate Vaishnava. So until Shastriya Shraddha has arisen, the obligation of a sadhak, a devotee in the stage of practice, to perform karma, it does not wane. I'm reading that again. Until Shastriya Shraddha has arisen, the obligation of a sadhak, a devotee in the stage of practice, his obligation to perform karma, it does not wane until the Shastriya Shraddha has arisen. So, Srimad Mahaprabhu has said, Shuddha Vaishnava nahi kintu Vaishnavera praya. Such persons are not pure Vaishnavas, but they resemble Vaishnavas. Now, solely by genuine association with true Vaishnavas, the Kanishta Vaishnava, who is a Vaishnava pride jiva, can become a Shuddha Vaishnava, a pure Vaishnava. Now comes the intermediate or the Madhyam Vaishnava. Ishure tadadineshu valisheshu jisatsucha premamaitri pripopeksha yat karoti samadhyama. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has also given these translations, to these verses, so they're a little bit unique. He who offers his love to the Supreme Lord, Sri Bhagavan, and who remains a sincere friend to all Vaishnavas, who shows mercy to the innocent, and through the most appropriate use of indifference, tolerance, or even complete avoidance, he neglects those who are envious of Bhagavan and the Vaishnavas, he is a Madhyam Vaishnava. That's very interesting. We were talking the other day, remember? In one of our conversations it came up about the people who are in like the categories that Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, they never surrender to me. How does that begin? Namam Duskritino. So the first two are not as in-depth demonic, but they're against worshipping Bhagavan. They'll never surrender to Bhagavan. But the degree of their absolute rejection of the process of surrender to Bhagavan increases as it goes through the four. So Mayaya Paritagyan, because they're so bewildered and deluded by their so-called knowledge, so-called jnana, but actually their knowledge Maya has stolen it. This is how Krishna says, Maya apavrita. Maya has stolen their knowledge, So, therefore, they don't, you can turn this on a little bit. Not high, just low like those. So, Maya has stolen their knowledge. And even though they have high degrees and scientists and all of that, they're complete fools as far as spiritual knowledge is concerned. And therefore they don't surrender. But the asura bhavam ashrita, what does that mean? That means a jiva who takes ashrita, shelter of asura bhav. So, I was saying that we shouldn't even bother to try to speak to those kind of people. Shuddhita. You know, and so now Bhaktivinoda Thakur is telling that the Madhyam Vaishnava, he does apeksha. But the way that he words it in English, he says, through the most appropriate use of indifference, tolerance, and even complete avoidance, he neglects those who are envious of Bhagavan and the Vaishnavas. He's a Madhyam Vaishnava. I won't say it here publicly, but I'll tell you after the class when Gurudev told me something one time. It was in Costa Rica. Now, in this way, Madhyam Vaishnava even shows fitting mercy to the envious, seeing them as ignorant. Only the Madhyam Vaishnava is actually qualified to serve the Vaishnavas. Yes. Now, since the Kanishta Vaishnavas do not engage in such service, they cannot be called Vaishnavas. Rather, they are known as Vaishnava Prai, those who resemble Vaishnavas. Then, here comes the verse, the topmost, or the Uttam Vaishnava, from 11th canto. Sarva Bhutesha Yam Pashyat Bhagavan Bhagavad Bhavam Atmanaha Bhutani Bhagavat Yatman Yesha Bhagavatottama. He who experiences the revelation of his own cherished form of Bhagavan in the hearts of all jivas, including his own, who experiences that all jivas, their very existence resting in Bhagavan, are fully surrendered to that same supreme absolute reality, and who perceives everyone in the whole world as a Vaishnava. He is known as an Uttam Vaishnava, topmost Vaishnava. Such a Vaishnava does not see the difference between a Vaishnava and a non-Vaishnava. So, this is a little, the way that this has come onto my iPad. It's like page by page. So I'm starting from the left side of each page. Now, 3 classifications of Vaishnavas according to the teachings of Srimad Mahaprabhu: the Vaishnava, the Vaishnavtara, and the Vaishnavatama. Vaishnav Uttam, Vaishnav Uttar, and Vaishnava. Now, the only conclusion to be drawn then is that when those who were in the Kanishta stage, when they attain faith in the scriptures, Shastriya Shraddha, and hence they become eligible to serve the Vaishnavas, they are thereafter described simply as a Vaishnava, having Vaishnava qualities, until the time when they attain the other qualities characteristic of a Madhyam Vaishnava. Now, correspondingly, Madhyam Vaishnavas are described as Vaishnavatara, having Vaishnava qualities to a profound degree, while Uttam Vaishnavas alone, the topmost Vaishnavas are described as Vaishnavottama, having Vaishnava qualities to the superlative degree. It is necessary to deliberate upon the way in which Srimad Mahaprabhu introduces us to these 3 types of Vaishnavas. So here it is from Madhya Lila 1.5.1.11. One who is Vaishnava. Atayeva jar mukhe ek Krishna nam, say to Vaishnava koriho ta harasana. This is in the conversation. As the Navadvipasis and the other Bengal Vaishnavas are just about to leave Puri, and they're sitting with Mahaprabhu, and then, what was his name? That particular Vaishnava who asked the question from Mahaprabhu. What should we do? So, And then Mahaprabhu answered, you should chant Harinam, you should serve Krishna, and you should serve Vaishnavas. So then he asked the question, how do we identify who is the Vaishnava that we should serve? And he told this first year, one answer, second year, another answer, third year, another answer. Kanishta Madhyam Uttam. So, he says, one who chants the name of Krishna even once is Vaishnava, possessed of Vaishnava qualities, and therefore you should show all respect to him. Then Vaishnavattara, Krishnanam Nirantara Jahara Vadane, say Vaishnavattara Bhajatahara Chavane. One who incessantly chants Krishna's name is Vaishnavattara, possessed of Vaishnava qualities to a profound degree, and one should render service to his lotus feet. Then one who is Vaishnavottama, Jahara Darshane Mukhe Aise Krishnanam, Tahare Janiha Tumi Vaishnava Pradhan, Krama Kori Kahe Prabhu Vaishnava Lakshan, Vaishnava Vaishnavattara Ar Vaishnavottama. So one who inspires others to chant Krishna Nam merely by being visible to them, he is Vaishnavottama, possessed of Vaishnava qualities to the superlative degree, and he is the topmost Vaishnava. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he thus explained the different grades of Vaishnavas in sequence. Those who are Vaishnava, those who are Vaishnavattara, those who are Vaishnava Uttama, in accordance with the symptoms that they each exhibit. So according to these teachings of Srimad Mahaprabhu, one who merely utters absolutely pure Krishna Nam, he is eligible to be described as a Vaishnava. That's put in brackets here. According to these teachings of Srimad Mahaprabhu, one who merely utters Krishna Nam is eligible to be described as a Vaishnava. But they put in brackets that one who merely utters absolutely pure Krishna Nam is eligible to be described as a Vaishnava. Among the Kanishta Bhaktas, those who are described as Vaishnava Prai, resembling Vaishnavas, or else Vaishnava Abbas, a semblance of a Vaishnava only, they only chant Nam Abbas, a semblance of the holy name. They do not chant Shuddhanam, the absolute pure holy name. However, listen to this. However, those who are in fact able to chant Shuddhanam even once, they have Vaishnava qualities and are Shuddha Vaishnavas. Those who incessantly chant Shuddhanam are Vaishnavattara, possessed of Vaishnava qualities to a profound degree. Those who cause others to chant Krishna Nam merely by being visible to them are Vaishnavottama, possessed of Vaishnava qualities to the superlative degree. Now, at this point, one more thing needs to be considered.
Just one thing.
Yeah.
I looked it up. It's the residents of Kulinagam.
Yes, Kulinagam.
Yeah, and it just says more than that.
It does in some of the verses, but that's okay. Yeah. Something Vishvasa. Maybe Saturaj. Okay, so now at this point, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is telling us that one more thing needs to be considered. Becoming a Shuddha Vaishnava does not depend on the process of taking Diksha, ceremonial initiation. Diksha is the process whereby a person receives a mantra for the worship of Sri Hari's deity form, and thus comes at least to the stage of Vaishnava Prai. Now, in terms of the existential reality of the holy name, Nam Tattva, such Diksha is unnecessary. As Srimad Mahaprabhu has said, Prabhu kahe jar mukhe shuni ek bar, Krishna Nam se puja shreshta sabakar. Mahaprabhu answered, that's the same conversation, he from whose mouth Krishna Nam is heard even once is worshipful and is the best among human beings. Then he says, Ek Krishna Name Kore Sarva Pakshoy, Nava Vida Bhakti Purna Nam Hoite Hoy. Even uttering Krishna's name a single time destroys all of one's sins. The ninefold process of devotional service, Navada Bhakti, attains completeness only through Nam. Diksha Purascharya Vidhi Apeksha Nakare, Jiva Sparshe E Achandala Sabare Udari. One who is not required to undergo the process of receiving Diksha or any preparatory regulative rites in order to chant Krishna Nam. He says here, one is not required to undergo the process of receiving Diksha or any preparatory regulative rites in order to chant Krishna Nam. Simply by coming in contact with the tongue, Krishna Nam delivers everyone, including even the most degraded class of men. Anusanga phale kore samsara erkshoy chitta akarshiya karai Krishna premodoi. Madhuri, you can turn that down. Just turn it off again. I'm starting to feel some sore throat. So here's the verse, translation. As a secondary result of chanting Krishna Nam, one's material entanglement is terminated. As a secondary result, one's material entanglement is terminated. So the primary result is that the mind and the heart of the chanter become uncontrollably drawn to Krishna. And finally, Krishna prema awakens in his heart. Atayeva jar mukhe ek Krishna nam, seito Vaishnava koriho tahara saman. One who even chants Krishna's name a single time is described as a Vaishnava, and therefore you should show him utmost respect. So now Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to tell the difference between Sri Nam and Namabhas, and those who chant Namabhas are not Vaishnavas. The difference between Nam and Namabhas is not the topic of our present deliberation. This shall be discussed specifically at another time. Herein, this much can be said. When Krishna Nam is chanted with Shastriya Shraddha, faith in the scriptures, that is with unalloyed surrender, then it is pure Nam. And when Nam is chanted with desires unrelated to making Krishna happy, that means amyabilashita, or when it is eclipsed by dry impersonal knowledge, jnana, reward-seeking action, karma, renunciation born of aversion, vairagya, and so forth, then it is namabhas. So what's the difference? When Krishna Nam is chanted with Shastriya Shraddha, faith in the scriptures, and with unalloyed surrender, then it is called pure Nam. But when Nam is chanted with desires unrelated to making Krishna happy, or when it is eclipsed by dry impersonal knowledge, reward-seeking action, renunciation born of aversion, and so forth, it is Namabhas. Now, although the chanting of Namabhas can award any result, even up to emancipation from the material energy, mukti, the Vaishnava only chants Shuddhanam and is never inclined to chant any form of Namabhas. So, you know how many times Gurudev has told that by Nam Aparad, he was mentioning Nam Aparad. He said by Nam Aparad, you can get all of your material desires fulfilled. But here, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying that yes, Namabhas can award any result, even up to what? Mukti. But the Vaishnava, one who's actually known as a Vaishnava, he only chants Shuddhanam, and he is never inclined to chant any form of Namabhas. When Nam is chanted by one who has knowledge of his actual Swarup, who understands that Nam and Nami are non-different, and who has realized that Nam only makes his appearance upon the pure transcendental senses of the jiva, only then is it pure Nam. So when that Nam appears on someone's tongue, even once, he becomes a Vaishnava. By the time Nam appears, all of one's fructified prarabdha and unfructified aprarabdha sins are destroyed. And along with the awakening of such Nam comes love of God. So, a Vaishnava is naturally endowed with all good characteristics and is devoid of all vice. And it is stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita in Madhya 22:75. There's two verses quoted here. Sarva Mahaguna Gana Vaishnava Sharire Krishna Bhakti Krishna Gun Sakali Samchari. All exalted virtues reside in the body of a Vaishnava. All the transcendental qualities of Krishna are transmitted to his bhakta. Then Vidhi Dharma Chari Bhaje Krishna Rachara from the same chapter. Nishiddha Papa Chari Tar Kabhu Nahi Man. A Vaishnava exclusively worships Sri Krishna's lotus feet. So even though he casts aside the regulated principles and conduct prescribed for the discharge of varnashram dharma, religious societal duty, but his mind is never tainted by the inclination to engage in prohibited sinful activities. Agyani va hoy jari pap upastika Krishna tare shuddha kare na karai prayaschita. If, however, a Vaishnava somehow unknowingly becomes implicated in sinful activity, then Krishna does not make him undergo the ordained method of atonement, but personally purifies him instead. Jnana vairagyadi bhaktir kabhu nahe anga ahimsa yaman niyamadi bhule Krishna bhakta sangha. Never mistake the cultivation of knowledge and renunciation as limbs of bhakti in their own right, for all good qualities, such as gentleness, control over the mind and senses, and appropriate renunciation, automatically accompany the Krishna bhaktas. At satsangatyag e vaishnavachara, stri sangi eka sadhu Krishna bhaktava. To discard the company of those who diminish one's resolve in Krishna Bhakti, asatsanga is truly the natural conduct of a Vaishnava. And the most detrimental association of all is those who enjoy the company of women and the non-devotees. Krishna Mahabhakta and Stri Sangi. The day Krishna Nam appears on someone's tongue, even a single time, he will lose all taste for sinful activities. What to speak of taste for sinful activities, he will even lose interest in pious activities. All three classifications of Vaishnavas, namely those who are Vaishnava, those who are Vaishnavattara, those who are Vaishnava Uttama, are devoid of any form of material contamination. They are flawless and without sin. It's pretty amazing. So, the Kanishta, the Vaishnava, Vaishnava, Vaishnavattara, and Vaishnava Uttama. Interesting. Now, if it is observed, however, that a person is actually inclined towards sinful activities, inclined towards them, then he is not to be counted among the Vaishnavas. Not to be counted. If he's inclined, actually inclined towards sinful activities. Even the Kanishta Vaishnavas have no inclination for pious or impious activities. There's some footnotes here also. Now, pure Vaishnavas have no faults, and they are therefore above criticism, but those who do criticize them, they just blame them and they vilify them wrongly. Have we seen that? Have we seen that? Oh my God. Oh. pages and the annals of history will reveal what actually has been done in the name of being Vaishnavas and serving their Uttam Mahabhagavad Vaishnava Guru, what kind of criticism they've done of pure Vaishnavas on the highest levels. So pure Vaishnavas, they have no faults, and they are therefore above criticism. But those who do criticize them just blame them and vilify them wrongly. Such wicked persons hatefully criticize the Vaishnavas in the following 3 ways. Just want to add a little thing. There was a paper written after ISKCON officially, GBC decree, banned the Mahabhagavat Uttam Adhikari, Siksha Guru of our Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and considered to be one of the top most exalted Vaishnavas amongst the disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the Siddhanta Acharya of all the living Vaishnavas, from Gaudiya Math in particular, namely Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. And they wrote it down, a paper, and they commissioned a certain devotee who did a lot of writing, I won't mention names, to write a paper that gives all of their reasons and all their criticisms for, and justifies them for banning him and banning anyone who goes to him. Yeah. And I just happened to hear the audio recording of this paper being read aloud to Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj around that same time period. I had the tape at that time. It was by former Akhoyananda Swami, who later became Bhaktivedanta Sagar Maharaj. He was reading. Now, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, you know that he was highly qualified even as a lawyer. But he refused that degree because the Gandhi followers were just renouncing. But he was very astute. So he wanted to hear what they're telling. And you cannot believe for each and every single point. I don't even remember how many there were, but there was quite a few. He actually demonstrated and gave a whole explanation on each and every point how this very accusation against him was actually, okay, this is Amazon. Yes, hello Amazon, we are coming now. We are coming. Okay, Hare Krishna. So, Srila Sridhar Maharaj actually showed how the very fact that they can even accuse such and such and make this point and that point proves that they themselves are not qualified to be gurus. That they themselves are not qualified to be pure Vaishnavas. So after each and every point was read to him, at the very end, Srila Sridhar Maharaj sized it all up by saying, simply mud slinging. Mud slinging, like you sling, you know? Slinging mud. Mud slinging. Now, these wicked persons who criticize Vaishnavas, they do it in the following 3 ways. 1, they criticize all the faults that existed in a person before Shuddha Bhakti manifested in him. In actual fact, as soon as Bhakti appears in one's heart, all of one's faults begin to quickly disappear. Number 2 way that they criticize. During the period of time in which any untoward propensities are being destroyed within the Vaishnava's heart, wicked people take the opportunity to criticize him for any faults that may still remain in him. Got to be careful on that one. Really careful. And number 3, although an exalted Vaishnava is never inclined toward faulty behavior, Sometimes due to divine providence, some unwarranted conduct may be observed in him. And though such faulty behavior can never remain a permanent habit in the Vaishnava, wicked people still criticize him for it. So in this way, these heartless people lead themselves to their own doom by committing the wicked deed of blaspheming a Vaishnava. And therefore, in the book, Nam Tattva Ratnamala, it is said, Prag Bhaktir Udyadosha Kshaya Vashishta Evacha Daivot Pannascha Bhaktanam Naivalochya Kadachana Sadudeshyamrite Yastu Mrisha Pavadamevacha. This is like, they didn't separate the words to make it easy to read. Doshana Lochayatyeva Sasadu Nindaka Adhama. Sasadu Nindaka Adhama. He is the most fallen. Now, one should never reflect upon the faults of a bhakta, namely those that were present in him before bhakti awakened in him, or those that temporarily remain during the time when his heart is purified through his practice of bhakti, or those that may appear in him accidentally due to providence. One who reflects upon any of these faults, not with a good-hearted purpose, but rather with slanderous intent, is a blasphemer of saints and is extremely degraded. So, O readers, any faults that were present in a Vaishnava before the onset of bhakti should never be reflected upon, unless there is some good-hearted purpose in doing so. A Vaishnava should not be criticized for the insignificant remnants of his previous faults. And this is why Sri Krishna has said in Shrimad Bhagavad Gita, Abhichet Siddharacharo, Vajate Mamanam Yabak Sadureva Samantavyas Samyak Samvyavasito Isaha Kshipram Bhavati Dharmatma Shashvas Chantra Nigachati Konteya Pratijani Name Bhakta Dharmashita. Translation: even a man of abominable character who engages in loving service performed with one pointed dedication, Ananya Bhajan, to me, is still to be considered a saint due to being rightly situated in bhakti. He quickly becomes virtuous and attains eternal peace. O Kaunteya, declared boldly that my bhakta never perishes. So by the influence of bhakti, all the extremely abominable kinds of behavior that may have existed in one's heart before the awakening of bhakti and have gradually become one's acquired nature, nisarga, they diminish day by day and are finally destroyed within a very short time. Therefore, criticizing a Vaishnava without a virtuous motive, because of the presence of such waning faults, results in Vaishnava aparat. And even if one observes some accidental fault in a Vaishnava that occurs due to divine providence, one should still not criticize him. So in this context, sage Karabhajana Muni has said, Saphadamulam bhajatat priyasya tyatyana bhavasya hari paresha vikarmayach chot patitam katanchit Dunoti sarvam vridi samivishta, from 11, Canto 5th chapter, verse 42. That person who engages in an exclusive bhajan of the lotus feet of Sri Bhagavan, having left all else, is most dear to him. Even if the tendency to engage in some sinful, forbidden act somehow appears in his heart, Parameshvara Sri Hari, who resides directly within his heart, not only destroys those tendencies, but also removes any reaction that would have come as a result of having committed some sin. So the underlying principle is that wrongly blaming and criticizing a Vaishnava for any of the faults just mentioned, which fit into three categories, it leads to namaparad, offenses against the holy name. If one commits namaparad, a spurti of nam, a divine revelation of nam, will never take place. If one commits namaparad, a spurti of nam will never take place. And without such spurtis, it is not possible to become a Vaishnava. Now, at this point, an opposing argument may arise. Would it be appropriate to deliberate on a fault found in a Vaishnava that is not counted among the three types of faults just mentioned? So the answer is that no faults other than these three types can exist in a Vaishnava. If someone has faults that do not fit into one of these three types, then according to the revealed scriptures, they cannot be called Vaishnavas. We should consider that without the right motive, it is inappropriate to reflect even impartially upon the faults of any living being, what to speak of Vaishnavas. To blaspheme Vaishnavas is an offense, but even blaspheming other jivas is a sin. Vaishnavas have no interest in performing such a sinful act. So, however, provided one has the right motive, the scriptures have not condemned a careful critique of someone's faults. Now that's very important for us to hear this, that the scriptures have not condemned a careful critique of someone's faults. So there are three types of proper motive. Proper motive is of three types: desiring the welfare of the person criticized, desiring the welfare of the world, and desiring one's own welfare. So these three types of motives, proper motive. Number one, if the intention in analyzing someone's sin is to ensure that he attains his ultimate welfare, then such reflection is auspicious. Number two, if the motive behind reflecting on someone's sins is to benefit the whole world, then this is to be counted as an auspicious act. And number three, then it too is auspicious. There is no fault in such reflection. And when one reflects on the historical accounts of personalities like Valmiki or Jagai and Madhai, in light of one or more of these three virtuous motives, then such reflection is never the cause of incurring sin. When a disciple humbly asks his spiritual master to instruct him on how to identify a Vaishnava, the spiritual master, desiring the welfare of his disciple and of the whole world, explains that those who exhibit unholy behavior are non-Vaishnavas. He thus points out how to identify true Vaishnavas through antithesis, synthesis, antithesis. So with the motive of encouraging one to accept the shelter of the lotus feet of a true Vaishnava by abandoning false, so-called preachers of religion, one neither risks committing blasphemy of saints, sadhuninda, nor Vaishnava parad, offense to Vaishnavas. In such cases, even criticism directed at a specific person is given in Shrimad Bhagavatam 11:26, verse 27. Tato duksangam utstritya satsu sajjeta imam santa evasya chintanti manovyasangam uktivi. Translation: for all these reasons, intelligent people reject detrimental association, and they associate instead with saintly persons. This is because saintly personalities, with their powerful and virtuous instructions, they cut unholy material attachments from the heart, and thus they dispel all the distress that those unholy material attachments in the heart cause. Now, it is only possible for a Madhyam Adhikari to serve saintly persons. It is only possible for a Madhyam Adhikari to serve saintly persons and unrighteous activity is corrupting. That's the next section. You should not think that by serving a non-devotee, considering him to be a saint, you will get the benefit of serving a true saint. Right? The reason the Madhyam Vaishnava, as mentioned before, is the only one who is able to truly serve saints is because the Kanishta Vaishnava is not yet inclined towards serving saints. While the Uttam Vaishnava, topmost Vaishnava, does not see the difference between a saintly man and an unsaintly one. O readers, you are Madhyam Vaishnavas and are therefore duty-bound to search out and identify a saint and then befriend him. It is also your duty to shower mercy upon those who are non-devotees, or in some cases neglect them. You will be at fault if you abandon your own adhikar, your own rightful position. So the instructions of Srimad Bhagavatam in regard to vice and virtue is this. Sve sve dikara yanishta, yat saguna parikirtita, viparyayas tu dosha syad ubayor esha nishcha. Steadfastness in carrying out the duties of one's own rightful position is declared to be a good quality, whereas deviation from the duties of one's position is considered a fault. In this way, the two are clearly ascertained. Now, even if you unintentionally fall into bad association, unintentionally, you will become an offender to bhakti. Even if you unintentionally fall into bad association, you'll become an offender to bhakti. It is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 3:23-55. Sango yak samsrute hetur asatsu vihito diya saeva sadhu shukrito nissangat vaya kalpate. Even if someone falls into ungodly association due to his ignorance, such association still leads to degradation. But in the same way, even if someone finds himself in the association of saintly persons accidentally, such saintly association very easily leads him away from bad association and cuts his worldly attachments. Great verse. The Uttam Bhakta's glory, this is the very last paragraph of this article, the Uttam Bhakta's glory of seeing everyone as saints is proclaimed in holy books such as Bhaktamala and Prapanamrita. However, such conduct should never be imitated by a Madhyam Vaishnava. What conduct? Of seeing everyone as saints, like the Uttam Adhikaris do. For a Madhyam Vaishnava, such behavior would lead to the fault known as unadhikar chesta, not acting in accordance with one's eligibility or position. And he would rapidly become degraded as a consequence. May the Shuddha Bhaktas mercifully deem our discussion of all these subjects to have been properly motivated. Raise of the Harmonist, number 20, Kartik 2000. Lord Premam. Yeah, so many salient points in this article. I think I'm going to have to sit and take notes on this just to embed it more deeply so that I can repeat all these special, observations that have been made here.
I think that one point at the end where there's 3 types of proper motive and critique, like people could really easily use that as justifying themselves, because it's not it's basically saying that there isn't any other feeling there. It's only desire for auspicious. There's no envy or hatred or jealousy or any bad thing you're saying. It's only auspicious, right?
Yeah, well, that's what some persons gave the argument. We're just following the instructions of our spiritual master. Therefore, we are duty bound to blaspheme a Mahabhagavad Vaishnava. Absurd. But also, the thing is that Bhaktivinoda Thakur has pointed out, only those three categories exist. Only those three categories of a exalted pure Vaishnava apparently committing some kind of abominable action. In the case of the person I mentioned earlier, these institutional leaders decided to find faults that didn't even exist. Like envy, like this, like being a Mayavadi. I mean, they were so utterly absurd that they even said things like that. Oh, it was horrible, horrible. I mean, that time period, it was so inauspicious. So I just thank Krishna, thank Prabhupada that I did not fall into that dark abyss of ignorance and become subject to the reactions. All right, so that's the topic for today. We have a class on Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Sunday, Tuesday. Let me just make sure about that. Okay. So, 16th I'm leaving, which is Monday. So there's only Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. The 8th, the 10th, and the 12th. But then there's the 15th, which is Sunday, but that's the day before I'm leaving. I'm not sure if I will be able to, but I'll inform. I'll inform. So, 3 more, for sure. Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Yeah. And we will continue with Bhaktivinoda, the instructions of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Gaur Premanandi. So, any Maha Mantra melody?
Hare Krishna,
Short.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Vanchakalpatarubhascha kripa sindhu devacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo.
Costa Rica.
Oh, turn off all the cameras. I mean, this discussion right